Hey, welcome back to Metric Mania. Today we're learning how to convert from one unit in the metric system to another unit in the metric system. We're going to use the ladder method to do this. The ladder method starts with a line of prefixes, and each of those prefixes, if you remember, pertains to one particular value. So if we start with the biggest value prefix, we're talking about kilo. A kilo is equal to 1,000 units. And remember, we have 3 base units. The next smallest prefix is hecto. Hecto is equal to 100 units. As we go down the ladder, we see the next is deca. Deca is worth 10 units. Then we have our base units. Our base units, remember, are meters, liters, and grams. When you look at something smaller than one base unit, the next prefix is deci. Deci is worth 1/10 of a unit. Centi is worth 1/100th of a unit. And finally, milli is worth 1,000th of a unit. There are prefixes that are worth more than 1,000 and less than 1,000th, but these are the ones we're going to work with. So how do you actually use the ladder method? Well, here are the steps you go through. First, you determine your starting point. In order to do that, you need a problem, like 4 kilometers equals how many meters. Second thing you do, using this ladder, is count the jumps to get to your ending point. Your starting point is the unit next to your original number. Your ending point would be the number that you want to go to, like meters, or the unit you want to go to, like meters. Find those two things on the ladder, and then count how many jumps it takes. If we start at kilo and go down to meters, it takes 1, 2, 3 jumps to get to meters, remembering that meter is a base unit. In the original problem, you would rewrite the number, putting in any decimal point, and then follow the same steps with your pen or pencil to move that decimal point 3 places. Follow the same direction you did on the ladder. So if you go to the right, 1, 2, 3, down here you go to the right, 1, 2, 3. And that final spot is where your decimal point will land. What do you do with these empty holes? You can see from our answer that you fill in the empty holes with zeros. So 4 kilometers equals 4,000 meters. These are the practice problems that I am going to do with you on the next slide. I have a video showing you how I would do this if I were working with pencil and paper, which is what I'm expecting you to do in your homework. Let's take a look at that now. Now I've shown you what it looks like to run through a practice conversion problem on the computer. I'm going to show you what it would look like more if you were doing this on paper. So first, what I recommend my students do is rewrite the conversion order. So it's kilo, hecto, deca, base, deci, centi, and milli. Then start by writing the problem. Our first problem, and this is one that you need to solve in your assignment, is 1,000 milligrams equals how many grams? Okay. First I tell my students, rewrite the number, 1,000 for 1,000 milligrams. Then, let me change colors, and I'll show you how to figure out on your conversion unit line how to get from milligrams to grams. If we're starting at milligrams, that would be here. Remember, you're looking at the first letter if there are 2 letters in the abbreviation. So M for milli, not M for meter. Then we need to go to grams. Grams is here. That is our base unit for mass. So that's 1, 2, 3 jumps, and that's 3 jumps to the left. Notice I put an arrow there. Then you come down to your rewritten number. Your decimal point, if there isn't one showing, is always on the right. And you're going to move that decimal point 3 places to the left. 1, 2, 3. That's where your new decimal point will go, right at the end of that arrow. So if I rewrite the answer, the answer is 1, then here's my decimal point. Do I need to put anything after that? I don't. If there was another digit, like a 2 or a 5, at the end of those 3 zeros, then yes, you would need to include those 3 zeros. But since there's nothing, then that's all you need to write. So the answer for number 1 is 1,000 milligrams equals 1 gram. Okay, let's try number 2. Let me rewrite my prefix line. Kilo, hecto, oops. Deca is with a capital D. Base, deci, centi, milli. Problem number 2 says 1 liter equals how many milliliters? Rewrite the number, put a decimal point in. If it doesn't show a decimal point already, you need to add one to the right. Then go back to your prefix line and see if you can figure out how to go from liters to milliliters. If you're going from liters, liters is the base. Milliliters is the M. 1, 2, 3 jumps to the right. Then take your decimal point. 1, 2, 3 jumps to the right. Your new decimal point will be all the way over here. However, what do you do with these 3 spaces? If you remember from our practice, you had zeros there. 1, 2, 3. So, remembering that this decimal point is no longer there, if we take the digits we have now, we can move them up to our answer as 1000 milliliters. You don't need to add the decimal point to the right of that last 0 because there's nothing after it. Okay, let's try problem number 3. Number 3 says 160 centimeters is how many millimeters? Alright, I'll rewrite kilo, hecto, deca, base, deci, centi, milli. And if you're doing this on paper, you don't have to rewrite that line every time. I am because I'm trying to show you on video, so I want to make sure that you see that. But if you have it in front of you, you can just use the same line over and over again. Okay, let's rewrite our number, 160. Since there's no decimal point showing, we know it goes all the way on the right. Then we are going from centimeters to millimeters. Remember to look at that first letter. Centi is here, milli is here. That's 1 jump to the right. So in my answer in my number I move my decimal point 1 jump to the right. My new decimal point goes here. I fill a 0 in the empty hole. So the final answer is 1,600 millimeters. Notice I'm not using commas. I'm not using commas because it's very easy to get confused between commas and decimal points when you're writing something. Since you'll be typing your answer, obviously I'll know the difference between a comma and a decimal point, but you do not need to put the commas in if you don't want to. Moving on to number 4. Question number 4 asks, if you have 14 kilometers, how many meters would that be? I'll rewrite the number 14. Change colors so you can see what's going on. I don't have a decimal point, so that goes at the end. And I need to go from kilometers to meters. Remember, we look at the first letter if there are 2 of them. So we're starting here at kilometers. And meters is not this one. That would be M for milli. So where would meters be? That's right, meters is the base unit. So that goes here. 1, 2, 3. Stop at the base unit. 3 spots to the right. Move my decimal point. 1, 2, 3 spots to the right. Fill the zeros in the holes. If there's nothing at the end, I don't need my decimal point, and I can rewrite my answer on the line. 14 kilometers equals 14,000 meters. That's a lot of meters. Let's move on to number 5. For number 5, the question is asking 109 grams equals how many kilograms? So I rewrite my number. I do not have a decimal point in the original number, but I need one here. I'm going from grams to kilograms. Grams is the base unit. Kilograms, remember to look at the K. 1, 2, 3 spots to the left. So I take my pen and move 1, 2, 3 spots to the left. Here's where my new decimal point goes. That one goes away. Now this answer is a little different than what we've had before. Here, our answer starts with a decimal point on the left-hand side. So I always tell my students, put a 0 to the left of that so that we see your decimal point. And you know that there are no whole, in this case, there are no whole kilograms in this answer. So 0.109 kilograms. So 109 thousandths of a kilogram. Very good. Almost finished here. We're moving on to number 6. Rewrite my prefix line. Write in my original problem, 250 meters equals how many kilometers? And rewrite the number so we can work with it. No decimal point showing, so I put one on the right. Okay, we are going from meters. If you remember, meters is our base unit, not the end, which means milli. We are going to kilometers. 1, 2, 3 spots to the left. Take my decimal point the same way. 1, 2, 3 spots to the left. My new decimal point goes here. This one is gone. So remember, if the decimal point is on the left, start it with a 0, 0.25. Do you need to add the 0 at the end? No. Am I going to mark it wrong if you do? No. So you can either leave it as 0.25 kilometers or 0.250 kilometers. Okay, moving on to number 7 and 8. These are a bit different. We will still need our prefix line. Kilo, hecto, deca, base, deci, centi, and milli. Number 7 and 8 are asking you to compare using greater than, less than, or equal to. So again, we start by writing the original problem. This says 56 centimeters. How does that compare to 6 meters? In order to solve these types of problems, we're still going to do a conversion. In this case, I said, try to convert the first unit into the second unit. So we rewrite our problem. 56 centimeters equals how many meters? 56, your decimal point would go on the right. We know we need to go from centi to meter. Centimeters in our prefix line is here. Meters is the base. Remember, our decimal point 2 places to the left. Our new decimal point goes here. This one goes away. So we see that 56 centimeters is 0.56 meters. Now you have to look at, and I'll add a third color to help you see this, you have to look at 0.56 meters or 6 meters. Now you can actually compare them. This, this 56 centimeters is really 0.56 meters. Which one is greater? Well, 6 meters is greater. So you need to use the greater than sign. I'll do another one of these because these involve a few more steps. Problem number 8 asks you to compare 7 grams to 698 milligrams. So I'm going to take 7 grams and turn that into milligrams. I do that the same way we've been learning. 7, decimal point goes on the right. I need to go from grams, which is the base unit, to milligrams. 1, 2, 3 spots to the right. Put zeros in the hole. And if you remember that this decimal point is gone, that equals 7,000 milligrams. So really, what we see here is it's not 7 grams we're comparing, but 7,000 milligrams compared to 698 milligrams. Which one is larger? 7,000. So 7,000 is greater than 698. This should give you all the help you need in order to finish the rest of the assignment. You will need to copy the problems, make sure that you do the work on paper, and then give me the correct answer when you are finished. So hopefully that little video was helpful and you understand how to go about finding the answers to the assignment problems. If you take a look here, this is your assignment. In the first section, I am asking you for numbers 1 through 9. Not to do anything with conversions, but to simply tell me the abbreviation for each unit. Kilogram. How would you abbreviate kilogram? Remember, base units like meters, liters, and grams will have a 1-letter abbreviation, and anything with a prefix will have a 2-letter abbreviation. Then, for 10 through 24, I'd like you to go through these conversions using the ladder method. At this point, it's probably best to pause the video, go through answer questions 1 through 24, and then we'll continue on with the next set of problems. The next set of problems, 25 through 30, ask you to compare. Compare using less than, greater than, or equal to. And again, you can go back to the video that was earlier and watch how I solve these problems. If you have any questions, please don't be afraid to ask.